I think it's 51 here, or in the book it's 91, I think. Mhm. All right, make sure you're here. All right, so last chapter, in chapter 10, we left off. Remember, Gypsy got really sick. She wound up catching the measles. That's basically what happened in the last chapter. She got all delirious while they were in the movies, got the measles. This is chapter 11, following along. Again, make sure you're paying attention because you will have questions. Um, it was next evening, just after it got dark, that Woodrow came to my window and called softly, "Gypsy, you awake?" The window was right beside the bed, and the curtains were pushed back to let in a night breeze. "Yeah, I'm awake," I said, rising up on my knees. Together, Woodrow and I removed the screen and eased it down to the floor. "You better?" he said. "Some," I said. "Doc says my fever's gone down." "Had your rum tonight?" he said, grinning. "Not yet. Mom will bring it in a while." "Well, I got somebody here wants to visit you." "Oh? Who?" I leaned towards the window and detected a figure about a head taller than Woodrow standing in the shadows. "I hope he's had the measles," I said. "Oh, yeah, he's had everything," Woodrow said as he pushed the person forward. "Say hello to Blind Benny." I was flabbergasted. Like she shocked by this. It's just kind of like a strange person for him to bring. For years I had heard him singing, but I had seen him only in the dark from afar, while he rummaged through people's leftovers and the dogs sniffed around him. Now here he was. Leave it to Woodrow to bring him right up to my window and introduce him like he was somebody's cousin from Grassy Lake, maybe. Blind Benny moved halfway into the dim light coming from the lamp. I could see his face and legendary sightless eyes that were almost not there. They were like two little holes in his face about the size of dimes, and not eyes at all. It was an automatic reflex for me to shrink from anything so hideous. I almost gasped, but I clapped a hand over my mouth before the hateful sound could escape. Right, so obviously, Blind Benny doesn't have eyes, so when she does get a good look at him, it like scares her. And these are all the things that she does, right? So she jumps back, she covers her mouth, she almost gasps. As usual, nothing got past Woodrow. He saw my reaction and smiled. So Woodrow's like laughing at the fact that she found him to be scary. "Evening, Miss Beauty," Blind Benny said shyly. "Hope you were feeling fitter than you was." "Beauty, why'd you call me that?" A feeling akin to pain came with that name. So when she hears this name, something about it bothers her. "I reckon so," I said, trying to find some words. Um, I was sorry when your cousin here told me you was a ailin', but he said you'd not be scared of me like most girls is." Woodrow and I exchanged a glance. Suddenly Benny started scratching his thighs and behind. "Chiggers is awful this year," he said. "I might near wore my fingers down to a nub just scratching myself. Woodrow tells me he knows about chiggers, knows their ways and their secret places. He says he's going to show me how to keep 'em away. Do these chiggers get on you much, Miss Beauty?" All right, so chiggers are a bug. I don't think I've seen them in like a long time. I remember them as like a kid, but they're like really little red like things. Right, you see them right there. They're like tiny,
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
but I guess they crawl up into your like body and like they bite you and give you like these little bumps. So not a good idea to be around those things. Okay. Um. Sometimes I mumbled. It was true there was a bumper crop of chiggers that year. They were tiny, almost microscopic bugs that liked to crawl up under your clothes and burrow into the white, fleshy places where the sun never touches. Big, ugly red bumps would pop up when they dug in, and Woodrow did have a peculiar knack for sniffing them out. So Woodrow's good at finding these bugs. Lots of times he'd say to me, "Don't sit there, Chigger Convention," or "Don't lean on that tree, Chigger City." "Yeah, Woodrow's right handy to have around sometimes," I said to Blind Benny. Woodrow looked at me sideways like he was wondering if I meant something by that. "When Woodrow asked me to come over here to your window," Blind Benny said, "it brung me to my memory of your pappy in this very room singing to you when you was just a little thing." "You mean my daddy?" I said. "Oh, yeah," Blind Benny said, moving closer and clutching the window ledge. I felt a tremor go through me as I shrank away from him, so again, he's kind of like scary looking. "Amos Lee Master and me was boys together back there in Cold Valley, Kentucky, Miss Beauty." "Why do you call me that?" I said. "Beauty?" Don't you remember? It was his name for you. He always called you Beauty. Short for Arbutus. He named you himself, Gypsy. Arbutus Lee Master. He said he couldn't think of any other name to beat it, and he were right. Okay, so the reason why she's getting upset by being called Beauty is what? Why is that bothering her?
Because that's what her father calls her?
Yeah, exactly. That's what her father called her, so she probably just had a small recollection of it and she didn't remember it. But again, it bothers her now knowing that her father called her that. I felt sick, and I wanted him to go away then. But I didn't know how to say it. Benny's going to sing to you, Gypsy, Woodrow said. I lay back on my pillow, closed my eyes. I knew what the song was going to be before he began. When the moon comes over the mountain, every beam brings a dream dear of you. Blind Benny's voice was even more wonderful. Haunting it was, up close, and I could almost hear my daddy echoing each line. Once again we stroll neath the mountain, through the rose-covered valley we knew. Each day is gray and dreary, but the night is bright and cheery. When the moon comes over the mountain, I'm alone with my memories of you. It was Amos's favorite song, Benny said softly when he was finished. He was a good singer. Too bad what happened to him. I'm feeling sick, I interrupted, not quite trusting my voice. I want to rest now. Why, sure, you sleep, Miss Beauty, and I hope you'll be well again soon. I didn't answer. I heard Woodrow fumbling around the screen. Then there was silence. The next day turned real hot. Porter came into my room, ran an extension cord from the hallway, and pasted an electric fan on my dresser. It was one of those small wires that swivel back and forth, felt good. Then he brought in a radio. Something to keep you cool and something to occupy your mind, he said. Mama cleaned out my stash of books. How you feel, he went on. Like a mushroom, I said irritably, in a cool, dark place. Porter turned the radio to cool station. Can I get anything else for you, he said. I shook my head. Didn't he know that if I wanted anything I wouldn't ask him? He hung around for another minute. Then he left me alone. The radio was playing Hernando's Hideaway. It reminded me of my treehouse. I thought I'd feel better if I could go there and sit on the treehouse porch and hang my feet above the water and listen to the creek rippling over the rocks. I remember the day Daddy built the treehouse for me. I was barely big enough to get up the steps, and Mama fussed at Daddy because she said I was too small to climb up there and play. So he promised he'd go up there with me until I was old enough to go by myself, and he did. Until he died. I didn't go back to the treehouse till I was 10 years old, the day Mom and Porter got married and drove away to Myrtle Beach for their honeymoon. Then I climbed up there, went into the room. It was damp and still smelled like raw lumber. There was a button on the floor. I picked it up and I looked at it for a long time. It was green with little swirls of white running through it like marble. I knew it came off of Daddy's green shirt, the one he wore to the volunteer fireman meetings every Tuesday night. But I didn't want to think about that anymore. So again, the button that she finds is obviously something that's kind of symbolic of her father, right? So she just doesn't want to think about that. Mama, I yelled. Again, this was all like a flashback right in front. Feeling clammy and all out of sorts. I want to get up. She popped in the door just like she'd been standing there in the hall. She was wearing a blue sundress with daisies all over it, and her hair was brushed back in its everyday style with a blue ribbon in it, which made her look like a young girl. Don't be silly, she said. I want to go to the treehouse. You'll do no such thing. Why does she want to go to the treehouse? Why does she want to go to the treehouse?
The button is there? To see if the button is there?
Yeah, she's probably thinking about her father, right? So this whole idea of going to the treehouse for her father. And why is the mom saying no?
She's sick?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's sick, right? She's got the measles, so it's like she has no condition to be doing anything. Now, this is her reaction. Why did you marry Porter? How was she treating her mother there?
Pretty mean.
Yeah, it's a mean thing to say. It was a nasty thing to say and popped out of nowhere. He's not my daddy, I said in a low, evil voice, and he never will be. I hate him. So how do you think the mother's taking this?
Badly?
Yeah, bad, right? That's like an awful thing to say. Again, so as far as we know, we haven't seen Porter do anything negative. He's just, there. I saw a slow flush go over her face, so her face is turning red, and her lip began to tremble, so it's almost like she's about to cry. You didn't give him a chance, she said in a whisper. I turned my back to her and I covered my head with the sheet. Mama left the room. By Saturday, I felt lots better, and Woodrow spent most of the day with me. We played checkers, and he read to me from a book called Lorna Doone. It was real good. Then he showed me how you could talk into the fan. It's queer the way the rotating blades chopped up the sound waves and made your voice quiver. That's how it is when Mama calls my name in my dreams, he said sadly. Why do you reckon it sounds like that? I said. It's being filtered through two worlds, some kind of real strong force field separating the two dimensions. Again, he still kind of believes that his mom's sending him these messages from like another world. Oh, I see, I said, but I didn't see it all, and what's more, I didn't think he did either. So she thinks he's lying. I think maybe she tried to contact me another way, Woodrow said. Like on the telephone, I said. You're making fun of me, Woodrow said. I never thought you'd do that, Gypsy. Honest, I didn't mean to, I said, because I didn't, but even so, I was still ashamed of myself. We didn't have anything to say to each other for a long time, and Woodrow looked so pitiful I couldn't stand it. I thought and thought about what I could say to him to make him feel better. Finally, I had it. I tell you what, Woodrow, when Mama lets me go outside again, we'll have a weenie roast, okay? That's cooking hot dogs. It worked. Oh, yeah? He said, brightening. Yeah, down by the creek. There's a place where Grandpa lets me build a fire sometimes. We'll have it there. We'll invite Mary Lee and Rita and Buzz, Garnet, Franklin Delano, John Ed, and Peggy and Sue and Willie, he said excitedly. After that, I got better every day. All right, so we are going to be having some questions,